We're ready to go.
All right, we're good.
Yeah. Hey, it's Ryan here, and what I wanted to do was a little bit of supplemental training above and beyond what we promised to cover, because I think this is some information that'll be helpful for people. And specifically, what we're going to be talking about is I'm going to show you how to, if you're using Survey Gizmo, how to take the raw export from Survey Gizmo and transform the exported file so that it's really well formatted like this here, and I'm just going to walk through that entire process. This is something that I showed on the live training today, and people had some questions about how to do this. So I figured I would just walk through step by step my actual process for doing that. And Ian on my team is on the call. Basically, I'm going to be using this as an opportunity to sort of teach Ian how to do this technique. So I've asked Ian if there's anything that's unclear or is needs clarification, whatever, just to speak up, because he's basically going to be in the same position that you're in as someone who's never actually done this process from beginning to end. So without further delay, let's dive right in. So what we have here are these are the links to all the projects for the survey funnel formula survey. This here is, you can see the number of responses that we have for each one of them. Basically what I want to do is this is what you're going to do. You're going to click the export button here. You can click quick export. It's going to take a second to export. Percent complete. This goes pretty fast. Shouldn't be that slow. Click to download. I'm going to open the file. File's going to open here. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to be making it bigger here in a second. Bear with me. 200%. Okay. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the back button. Actually, I'm going to go back to, this is VSL LP. So I don't care about response ID. That's just a number I don't really care about. So I'm going to change this field to survey ID, and I'm going to call it VSLP. This is just my own internal coding system, so I know what survey these responses are coming from. VSLP, and I'm just hitting Command C, copy down, Command V, paste. I'm going to do a lot with keyboards. I don't consider myself an Excel whiz by any stretch, but I do a lot with Excel, so I might be moving fast. I'm just going to be formatting this. You're going to see me actually go through the process. Now, okay, so we're going to do that. All right, now we're going to go back to Survey Gizmo. I'm going to go to Projects, and I'm going to go to Dashboard, and we're going to do the next one on the list. We did VSLP. Now I'm going to do the next one, VSLC. I'm going to go Export, quick export. I'm just going to go through the same process again. Okay, download your CSV document, open it up. Here it is. I'm going to copy. All I'm doing is copying the rows. I know this is small, but I'm just copying the rows from this one. I'm going to paste it, Command V or Control V, depending if you're using a Mac. This one is VSLC. So I'm going to type VSLC, copy, paste. Just keep these all the same, centered. Okay, and I know this is a little bit tedious, but I want to walk people through the whole process just so you can see it from beginning to end. Dashboard, SSFC, exports. Okay, download, open. And this one is a big one. Got a whole bunch of responses on this one. Copy, paste, replace this, SSFC. I'm actually going to correct this. I just made a mistake. SFFC, survey funnel formula, customers. Okay. All right, paste. Like that. All right, good. Close some of these windows just to clean things up a little bit. Projects, dashboard. All right, next is survey funnel formula interested, SFFI, export, quick. export. So you can see some of this is a little bit tedious. Some of this stuff, the work that I'm doing right now, if you don't want to do it yourself, this is something that you can outsource. But as far as the actual analysis is concerned, with the survey data itself, that is something that you're going to want to do yourself. It's not something that you want to outsource, because part of the deep understanding that you get about your market is sort of dependent upon going through that deep dive process. But this copy and paste work is something that you can outsource. I'm just going through it from beginning to end so you can see the entire process. Got 3 more lists here and we'll be done into GIF. Exports. Export. Okay, download your CSV. Open. Opening the thing. Copy. Paste. MKTI. Okay. Dashboard. The reason why I'm going back to the dashboard rather than just click on them is I want to make sure I don't miss one of the surveys that I'm doing this for. I want to make sure that we capture every single one. Okay, control.
So Ryan, this is something that even if they're using the SurveyMonkey, it's probably similar.
I'm guessing it's, yeah, I'm honestly not as familiar with it. I've used SurveyMonkey in the past, but it's been years since I've used it. I use Survey Gizmo for most of my stuff now. Okay. So I imagine the process is basically similar. The difference will be in the interface. Once we get working in Excel, the process is going to be very similar.
Right.
FSNP, but that's a good question. Same thing if you're using Google Docs, it'll be a different process as well. But you want to use whatever you're most comfortable with. FNSP. Okay, this one exports. 2 more, and then we're done with this, and we'll get into the Excel stuff. But for the sake of taking this to completion and showing the entire process, just so you can see, you know, one of the things that I take solace in is the fact that some of this work is tedious. And if it's tedious to you, it's tedious to your competition. And one of the reasons why this process that I use is so successful is because very few people are willing to do it. Oh, shoot. I closed the one that I shouldn't have closed. I got too ambitious closing stuff. All right.
And Ryan, just to clarify real quick, those survey IDs are coming from different segments of your list. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the survey IDs. Basically, I have a bunch of different lists that this went out to. Okay. And they're like customer lists, prospect lists, non-buyer lists. People have signed up for wait lists. One of them is like the wait list for my coaching practice. People who are on that wait list. That's this one actually. So I wanted to. That's not true, is it? Yes, it is. I guess that's the last one. Yeah, that's about right. I wanted to tag those people. Coaching. Wait. I wanted to tag those people differently. So when I'm analyzing their responses, I can look at, oh, okay, this person's a survey funnel formula customer, and I can look at their responses through that lens. So if there's something that they say that, I don't know, like this person, like VSL Fast Track customer, this is a VSLC, they might be asking for help with VSLs, and if I were to look at that in the vacuum, I might say, oh, wow, people still really need a lot of help with VSLs. But I know that there's a bias there because they bought that product, so they're more interested in VSLs than the average person across all my lists. So that's the reason for that. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file. I'll just put it in, I don't know, just put it on the desktop for now. I'll call it SSF survey export edited demo. Okay. continue. It asked me, I accidentally saved it in CSV. I need to save it as a XLSX file. Good. Okay, now let's go through the process of pruning and trimming this file. So first of all this stuff here I don't really need, so I'm just going to highlight these fields, these columns.
All right, we're good.
Okay, we're back. Now at this step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start, now that we've combined all the different survey data for all the different surveys.
Sorry, Ryan, I can't see your screen right now.
Okay, let's do a reboot here. Good?
You're good.
Cool. So we're going to pick up where we left off just a few minutes ago, and now that we've added all the survey data and combined it into one Excel file here, what we're going to start to do is start to clean up that data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be hiding all of these fields, and the way you do that is right-click, hide. Before I do that, I'm going to just take my screen off the public screen for a moment. Because I don't want to display the private contact information of the people who submitted the survey. So I'm going to just take this off the screen for a moment. I'm going to kind of articulate what I'm going to be doing. So I'm highlighting all those columns, and I am clicking the hide button. And then what I'm going to be doing is, in place of people's name and email, I'm going to be basically inserting a column by right-clicking at the top. And I'll show this in a second, but I just have to do it hidden for now because I don't want to reveal people's private contact information. I'm going to go name, and then I'm going to be putting a formula. Basically, what I'm going to do is, let's do this equals, oops. I'll show the formula, equals if this thing is greater than 0, enter 1. Okay, let's hide that. And then the email. Basically what I'm doing right now, and I'll show this, oops, in a moment, is okay, equals this will make a lot more sense as I'm doing. I can't talk and think at the same time, apparently. Okay, so I'm putting in a formula, equals if, parentheses, this column is greater than 0, enter 1, parentheses, okay, and then same thing here. Copy, boom, phone, one, otherwise 0, otherwise. Now I'll show this in just a moment. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. So hide, hide. Okay, we're back. So what I did is I took the name, email, and phone columns, which are now hidden. And the way you hide a column is you click on the column, right-click on it, hit the hide button. I've just hidden the name, email, and phone fields for the people who filled out the survey. And what I've done is I've added a field next to it. And so just imagine for a moment that we had a field called phone, and the phone number was like, 867-5309, okay? Just like the song. We'd have that phone number there. And I wanted to know, did someone leave a phone number, yes or no? We're going to enter this formula here. It's going to be equal sign, if, parentheses, this field, that cell, is greater than 0, which basically means that if there's anything present in that cell, then I want to enter a number 1 for positive, meaning yes. And if there's nothing in that cell, I want to enter the number 0. Enter. And so if you did that, you would see that this field, this cell, has a phone number, so there's a 1 here. And this cell, there's no phone number, there's nothing, so there's a 0. That's effectively what I've done in these fields, these columns here, is I've got that formula in place. If you click on it here, you can kind of vaguely see it. I know it's going to be small for you, but that's the formula. And what you're going to do is take that formula, and in the bottom right corner, I'm going to drag it down to copy that formula across all rows down to here. And you can see all I've got is 1s and 0s, yeses and nos. I'm going to do the same thing on this column, and you want to do them separately, because if you were to, just drag the whole thing like this and copy it down, what's going to happen is you're going to copy the name, email, and actual phone numbers in these hidden columns as well. So you got to do them each column individually. Okay. Done. One more. I'm just going to delete these. That's just for illustration purposes. Delete. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, because for this demo template, I'm not going to be keeping the names and emails. So what I'm going to be, I'll do this with the mouse. Right click, you're going to copy, you're going to go to edit, paste special. Things are going to come up, and you're going to want to just paste values. Okay. And that's just going to eliminate the formula. You don't need to do this yourself. This is just eliminating the formula. And I'm going to go back to my hidden thing. I'm going to unhide the sensitive data columns. Unhide. I'm going to delete those columns. Delete. Delete. I would never do this on my own file. I'm just doing this for the demo file. Delete. So now there's no risk of exposing anyone's private information. I've just got 1s and 0s. Okay, so we've done that. Now I'm going to go back on all these fields, and I'm going to come up with nice, neat little titles for all these columns. So this one here is the open-ended question that we ask people, and I just like to call this one SMIQ, single most important question. This one here, I'm just going to title full part. Full part. The reason why I'm doing this, by the way, so if I undo for a second, it's really difficult to know what we're talking about here. If I say which of the following, something, you don't really know what that is. You want a nice short little title, that a header that's going to tell you exactly what that column is about. So full part. This one I'm going to call type. This one I'm going to call other. This is the field here where I asked for, if someone said, you know, what do you consider yourself to be? A business owner who sells primarily your own products, your affiliate products, etc. Well, I also asked them to, I also gave people an open-ended one that said something completely different. The reason why I did that is because I wasn't sure if I had the right buckets, and I wanted to give people an option for something else. I'm just calling that other. I'm going to call this one revenue. I call this one niche. And I'm going to hide this one because I'm not going to really do much with this for now. The reason why I want to know what the reason why I want to know what the niche is like when I give examples for things, I want to be able to make it as relevant as possible. So I'm going to hide this. Okay, so that's the next step. We're making progress here. Now I want to, I'm going to hide this other field, this other column, because I'm not going to do anything with that for now. That's just more of a gut check for me to see, a gut check to see if I had the right types down. And what I found, as I described in the training, is that for the most part, the people who said other, it's because they were in more than one of the buckets that I had already put up there. So I'm working on figuring out a way to address that. For now, I'm going to hide that. Let's center this. So centered. Okay. I don't like this title here because it's too long, something completely different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this, copy, highlight this column, Control Find or Command Find, replace that thing that I already highlighted with other. Replace all, 30 instances, close, done. Okay, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with this revenue thing because I don't like how messy it is. I think it's kind of difficult to look at. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the upper limit revenue number and I'm going to be making that the revenue number here. And the reason why I'm doing that is just because this is really messy to me and it's kind of difficult to see at a glance kind of what's going on. So this one here, I'm going to call this one 2 million. So copy, control, find, paste, replace. I'm going to call it 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place all. Okay. Close. This is the 500K one. Copy, control, paste, paste, replace, 500, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Place all. Okay. Close this next one. That should be a greater than sign, but it just didn't pass the HTML code correctly to Excel. So, oops. Copy. Oh, I got to do it up here. Copy. And I know that some of this is tedious, but it makes looking at the data so much easier and faster. And this is work that you can outsource. You can have someone else do this if you want. When it comes to the actual analysis of the data, that's not something that we want to outsource. All right, the next one down is this one. This one's going to be 1 million. I'm just doing them kind of in order as they're popping up, not in revenue order. No strict rules on that one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place all. Okay, and I think there's one more over 5 million that I need to do. Yeah, oh, 2 to 5. Okay, so this is 2 to 4.9. We'll call this one 5 million. Paste, place, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place all. Okay. And then one more, 5 million plus. I'm just going to call this one, even though it's not super accurate, I'm just going to call this one 10 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place all. Okay. So now all the data is nice and cleaned up. Now what I want to do is just get rid of the kind of crap responses. So I'm just going to be deleting these rows. So right-clicking on the row, delete all these empty ones. Delete. 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 And I know I could just sort these. Let's do this. Let's highlight this row. Let's go layout, freeze panes, freeze top row. That's going to allow us to scroll. Let's this SMIQ. Let's just sort this alphabetically the other way. All right. Let's get rid of all these at the bottom that are just garbage responses. There are a couple in here. Test responses for me. Okay, 121. Okay. All right. So now the next thing that I want to do is we're going to use the length function to determine the length of the open-ended response. So I'm going to create a column that's called len, length, and the function I'm going to put in here is equal sign, len, parentheses, and I'm going to click on this cell here, close parentheses. My little helper has joined us. My 2-year-old son is here and ready to learn Excel, so you might hear him chime in the background. It'll make boring Excel work a little bit more joyful. All right, we're going to center this, and okay, so we're going to do this. And then after we've centered that, we've got the length column. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add what I call a force multiplier column, and I just call this column mult. Basically what we're doing is we're looking to see, are there any force multipliers that we should apply to the length of the response to count, to apply more weight to it. The only force multiplier that we're looking for in this particular case is whether or not someone left their phone number. So I'm going to just do a simple little function, equal sign, if this column here is greater than 0, then give me 1.5. If not, comma, give me 1, close parentheses. And that's going to, basic formula, that's going to add a 1.5 anytime someone leaves a phone number. So I'm going to drag that down and copy that across all the different cells in this column. Doing that as quickly as we can. Okay, cool. Center that just for formatting purposes. And then not the last column, I'm going to do a score. And basically what I'm going to be doing is just multiplying equals this times the multiplier. That's going to give me a score. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do this to the keyboard. It's a little bit faster. Copy, Control C, Command V. All right, that's the score. Okay, and then lastly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort the responses by score. So top to finish. I'm going to add a column. I'll center this one again. We're going to call it hyper. And 1 means yes, 0 means no. So we have 120 responses now, I think. This last one here is my good friend Andre, Chaperone. I saw his name associated with this one, so he's looking to buy beer online. I don't know if anybody can figure out how to help him with that. Andre's a beer aficionado. So we've got, including Andre's crap response, 120 responses here. So we're going to say 120. I'm not going to do this math in my head. I'm just going to illustrate it. 120 times 0.2 for the top 20%. So that's 24. So I want to take the top 24 people, which is this here, and I'm going to highlight them in kind of dark orange or whatever, dark peach, because those are the most hyper-responsive people. And then I'm going to be taking the next 24 rows like this, and I'm going to put a lighter orange. Those are the next batch of hyper responses. So this is the top 20% and this is the top 40%. So I'm going to put a 1 on these, copy to here, Control V, 1 on these, Command 1, Command C, Command V. All right, these are hyper responsive. Last thing I'm going to do from a formatting perspective is I'm just going to highlight this here, right click, format cells. Once you add the colors, you lose the background line. So what I like to do is just like the border lines, is add borders. I like to do the dotted line so it's not too like overwhelming. Okay, boom. All right. So now we've got our grid back. So I'm going to hit Command S to save our work. And now we're going to start with the analysis. So first we're going to go down to these kind of close-ended responses, and I'm going to do a bunch of these fields here, these rows here. I'm going to just, this one here specifically, I'm going to right justify the font. You'll see why in a second. So I'm going to do, all right, I want to know full-time, and I want to know day job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do equals count if, another function, close parentheses, range. We're going to just take this range here, whole range, put dollar signs before the numbers. That's going to set the range so it doesn't change when we move around. When this range, let's see, going to put the criteria in quotes. You got to put this in quotes, and you write in my case, full time. All right, so I've got 84 full timers. I'm going to copy and paste. My son is looking for some help with the iPad. Here, bud. There you go. All right, so now we did the full-time one. Now we got to do the day job. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take day job, replace the formula. Basically, what we're doing is a count if formula. I got to type in day job here, and I've got 36. And now I'm going to do a sum function. And there are different ways to do this. I'm just doing it the way I do it. It's not necessarily the best one, but it's kind of the way I do it. I'm going to copy and paste these results here, and I'm basically just going to do a simple function equals this divided by this, and that's going to give me I'm going to click the percentage button in the header, and then I'm going to do the same thing, equals this divided by this, and make that a percentage, and it's exactly 70/30. How funny is that? Right on the button. So hide this. All right, and I'm going to highlight the kind of the 80/20 just because I like to know what that is. Boom. So that one is done. So now we're going to do the next column, which is the type of person that they are. So we're going to do biz owner, excuse me, biz sell own products, biz affiliate products, consultant. Actually, I'll do it like in the order I did in the other one. Employee, consultant, copywriter, other. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do equals count if parentheses range, boom, 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 boom. This whole column. Put the dollar signs in. Dollar sign fixes the range. Comma. Quotation, biz, you got to type it in exactly as you have it in your field, otherwise you're going to get an error message. Bizown, okay, cool. So now what I can do is I can just take this, paste, they're all going to be 52, and I just replace bizown with the name, as long as it matches what's in this column, next to the field biz affiliate, biz employee, EMPLE. Right. Consultant, copywriter, other. Oh, okay, other. Boom. Now the reason why we add all these up separately is that in some fields someone might leave something blank, and if they leave it blank but the rest of their data is there, like this one, perfect example. They've given an answer. In fact, I'm going to delete this one because this one's a duplicate response. But if that wasn't a duplicate response, we'd want to make sure that we count it. So I'm going to do a sum. So 119. This should, because I deleted it, go back to 119. So that's at 119 as well. All right, so we got 119, and now we're going to do the percentage thing. Copy, put them here, paste, and I'm just going to do equals this divided by this. Put the dollar sign thing to hold the bottom one constant so it doesn't move around. Percentage, go 1 decimal point down, drag it down. Okay, good. We got all these percentages. Let's hide the actual numbers because the percentage is what's most important that we care about. And I'm looking at the 80/20, and I notice that it's here and here. Okay, so it's 65% of those two, and then another 23%. Basically, those people, the others, are consultants and business sell their own products. So they're just a combination of those two things. So that's the 80/20 right there. And now we do the revenue thing. So I'm just going to speed things up a little bit, I'm just going to copy. I've already done this. I'm I'm just going to copy what I've already typed in from another thing. I'm just going to do copy, paste special, values, because I don't want the formatting to pass through. And then we're going to do this as, so I just got all the column types, and we're going to do that same thing again, equals, count, if. And I know there's some Excel whiz out there who's probably saying, oh, there's a faster, easier way to do that. Do this, and I don't doubt it one bit, but this is how I do it. It's a little bit therapeutic to go through this process, and I feel like the process of doing this methodically, it helps you really appreciate and understand who the market is. So let's do we did the dollar sign thing, so we're going to do equals 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 100K. All right. Let's see, copy, paste. All right, now we're just going to change these numbers. The next one is 500K. The next one is 1 million. We'll just add a 0. Next one is 2 million. Add 2 and a 0. So I'm just changing the numbers to what I put them in. This is yet another reason why it's great to simplify the fields here, the different options, because it's easier to type in when you're doing stuff like this. Saves you a lot of time. This one's not correct. 50. And this is 10 million. Okay. So we're going to take this, we're going to sum it up. All right, and then we're going to just copy our headers, copy columns. Equals this divided by this, enter. Do the dollar sign thing. Okay, and then this, make them into percentages, boom, boom, boom. There we go. 80/20 is these two here. Let's hide this. Okay, and then last but not least, we just want to know who put their phone number, how many people put their phone number. I just like to know that percentage. So we're just going to do this one. I'm going to do really quick. So we're going to do let's see, count if. I'm actually going to just do this as a. I'm going to do this a little different. This will be faster. I'm just going to sum this. Sum 83, and I know that there are 119 people because this stops at 120 plus the header row, so I'm just going to do equals this number here divided by, actually I'm going to make it even simpler. I'm just going to do equals 83 divided by 119, enter. Okay. I'm just doing it kind of the quick and dirty way. All right, so about 70% left their phone number. Great. Delete that. And the reason why I can do that is because I know if someone left their phone number, I put a 1 here, so I can just add it up kind of faster, easier. So this gives me useful data about the market. I know where my 80/20 is. I know what the big buckets that I thought of. I know I'm mostly dealing with full-time people, people who are either business owners who sell their own products or consultants. I know what kind of revenue they're generating, and very quick and easy to do that. Now, the last step in the process is I'm going to go through creating categories. So I like to create up to 3 categories that I might categorize a response in. And you can do more than 3, but I find that 3 is a good number. Any more than that, it's kind of like overkill, because you could really go deep down the rabbit hole of coming up with 10 categories that someone might be in. So let's make this a little bit wider. All right. Now, I know on this top one, because I just remember it, the person puts their contact information. So I'm going to remove it in case this person does not want their info to be revealed. I think that is everything. Okay. So what I've done, and you probably won't be able to read this anyway, but it's not important. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm reading the response and I'm going to categorize it. So, hi Ryan, I'm a Perry Marshall and Glenn Livingston client based in Perth. gigging as a marketing manager for this website. Let's take this website out. Biggest challenge is improving conversion rates. We spend a certain amount of money per month, and it keeps getting more expensive. I'm Perry trained, 8 years managing. Our leads cost a lot of money at high average CPC. In other words, we're still in the red once you pay for ads. So split testing is difficult and expensive, so it's mega tough to run long, significantly tests. I want to run surveys, autoresponders, etc. to help build a list, bond with them, but I'm not really having any luck here, let alone building a full-on high-performing funnel like you might be able to. Also, all the training I see is targeted towards coaching services, not selling classic B2C products like car loans. Plus, 99% of people who are chasing a quote, they don't want to keep communicating with them, can't give information online. Okay, so the first topic that I see is PPC conversion. So specifically wants help with converting in a PPC environment. The second category that I see is they're selling non-information products. So one of the things I like to do as a convention is I'll create a kind of a major category, sell other, and I'll call it like non-info. And then the other thing that I noticed on this one was taking the online funnel to an offline sales process. So I'm going to call it offline sales process. Okay, and that's the first one. Now this next one, I'm just going to take it off just for a second just to make sure that this one doesn't have any sensitive info. Okay. I know this one just has the one URL. Okay, I think that's it. All right. So let's go through this one. So biggest challenge is I want to make sure all the tracking is in place. Well, that's really easy. Category 1 is going to be tracking. I get opt-ins at a reasonable cost on display. Conversion tracking for sales does not seem to be working very well, so tracking again. Maybe the window's too short. If I had an AR sequence and people buy months later, I offer a deal. I need to streamline the tracking so I can split test different elements. The moment I'm able to split test a landing page, making money and profits, I need to clean up my funnel. I'll make more money consistently. Also a lot of satisfied customers. Okay, not having follow-up products or memberships is a problem. So basically, leaving big money on the table. I need a monthly membership product. So basically, back-end products is a issue. I'm not just about the money. I think I'm also going to put product sequencing as well, putting what products in right order. Sometimes there's a question that's not explicitly asked, but it's really the question behind the question, product sequencing. Okay, and maybe like one more of these. Let's just double check this one. Okay. So biggest problem is reliance on Google AdWords, which means I often get slapped and have issues with user safety. Very hard to write copy for AdWords. It doesn't get hypey, blah, blah, blah. So this is another PPC conversion one. So PPC conversion. Now, I might have written this as AdWords conversion if I didn't have this first one, but I'm kind of, trying to create as few columns, as few buckets as possible. So, I've noticed this one is also on the topic of PPC conversion. Let's see, what else we got here? PPC compliance is another one, so complying with Google AdWords. So compliance. And that's it for this one. And so now I'll talk about now how do you use this information? Well, we're going to use it in a number of different ways. We'll talk about this in the actual live training itself, but I'm going to be using this to come up with the buckets to funnel people into. But already I know what I'm going to be talking about in my sales letter for the product, whether it's going to be on the landing page or on the actual video sales letter for the product itself. My son is being really cute right now. going to talk about, if you struggle, if you find yourself struggling with cold traffic and specifically pay-per-click traffic, then what you might find is that some of the techniques that you've used in the past are not Google compliant. They don't convert well on cold traffic, and there are reasons for that. And so that's already one thing I'll be talking about. I'll be talking about product sequencing and back-end products. One of the things that the survey funnel formula is designed to do is it's designed to identify what your back-end product should be, how you should sequence your products, what you should sell first, second, third, fourth, in what order, at what price points, and how to decide that scientifically and not just guess. So you can see if these things become recurring themes, how I can easily weave them into my sales message, but I know exactly what to talk about because I've identified the buckets and such. So in any case, that is the formatting process in a nutshell. What I'm going to do is give people access to this template. I'm just going to take out the data on this because there's some data that just people talk about their business and I want to remove that. But beyond that, I'm going to leave all this in place so you can basically use this template. Ian, before we wrap up this training, is there anything that you have questions about or that I should cover in more detail? Or
I guess the one thing is just when you're going through and doing the categories, I guess it just seems like it's a little tricky to really group people. You know what I mean? It seems like it's hard. It seems like if I were to do this, I would come up with like 20 different buckets. Basically.
Right. No, it's a good point. You might start with 20 different buckets at first. And so here's an example. Let's see. You take on new clients. Okay. I remember this one. I'm just going to remove it. It was someone who was just suggesting an opportunity to work together on something. It wasn't inappropriate. It wasn't a good survey response for what our purpose is. So, hey Ryan, my name is Jesse, and I want to find ways to play your teaching to smaller businesses. Okay, so this one wants to sell services. So I've already got my sell other category, because I've gone through this before, so I'm a little bit biased, but because I kind of know what the responses are. First time I go through this, it's a little bit different. So this person wants to use this to sell other things. Untapped list was another thing that I remember from this one. They have one of the businesses, they have a large list that they've done nothing with, and the other one is they want to go into a new market. Let's see, a new business market. Now, this one initially, I called it new business market here, but before I had analyzed the next 40 responses, I would have called this one just new business because they don't mention anything about a new market. But what I'm always trying to find ways to do is group categories together. So like this one here, I've got a kind of a grouped category, someone who's interested in going into a new business or a new market. That's one category. Back-end products and product sequencing, I would probably just call this one thing because they're similar to one another. So I'd get rid of one of these categories. I think I would call it product sequencing. That's a little bit more general because it encompasses back-end products. This one here, sell other non-info, sell other services. I would probably just call these sell other non-info because I think the biggest concern people have is how do I apply this process to non-info products? Like PPC conversion, I already talked about this, and this one I would have called AdWords conversion. And I think honestly, as I go through this, because I'm not finished with this exercise, I'm going to be doing it a little bit in the background. I think I'm going to eventually call these cold traffic conversion because I want to niche it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
And that way, I might have PPC conversion and cold traffic conversion. Well, this is going to be one category. So I don't know what number we started with. I should have probably figured that out. But look at how many we have now. We've
Right.
got 1, 2, well, tracking 3, 4. We probably started with maybe 10 or 12, and now we're down to like 8 categories. And I'll probably continue to refine this down. So I'll go through in like this offline sales process. Tracking, as an example. I know down in here people have questions about, I'm concerned about the technology to apply this. And I've got another group of people that were concerned about what tools do you use to, like one group of people was concerned about, is this going to be too technical? Like, am I not going to have the technical skills to do that? Another group of people, they were concerned about what tools do they use to do that. So I would probably combine tools, techie, and tracking into one category. I would call it like tools, tools, tech, and I think tracking is the only time that that comes up, so I'm not even going to mention tracking. So I would call tools and tech. So that would become that new category. So see what I'm doing there is I'm taking 3, 4, 5 categories and trying to combine them into one because they're very similar questions. They're very similar groups of people. Now, I will be the first to admit that there's more of an art to this than there is a science. So this is where your skill comes in. This is why this isn't a task that you can just outsource to a minimum wage employee in the Philippines. This is where you need to put your brain on as a business owner or as a consultant and actually do this process yourself. This is where you earn your money because it isn't something that's just algorithmically just plugging people into different buckets. This is where you really need to give it some thought and think through it. And it's not like there's only one right way to do this. A lot of this is my interpretation of the data, and that's going to obviously be influenced by my understanding of the market, my past experience, and everything like that. So,
Awesome. Yeah, that helps.
So that's that. Anything else?
I think that's it. The other stuff was pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Well, the purpose of this one was really just to show the technical process of translating the data. So what we're going to do is we'll take this file and we will upload it to the members area, and people will be able to have access to it as a template to use. Along with this video, they'll see how to convert the raw data from the survey tool and put it in this nice, neat, analyzed format. So, cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Really appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, and we'll get this uploaded ASAP and go from there.
All right. Sounds good.
See you, man.